Hello there. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Express, the weekend edition. And it's a beautiful day to do what we know how to do best, to inform you, educate you, and where and when necessary, entertain you. My name is Ike Chukwujue, and live from Uwem Akpan State, I am with my trusted ally and, of course, co-anchor, Jennifer Pius. Good morning to you, Jennifer.
Good morning, and you look sparkling. Your color seems to blend with the ADBN TV brand color.
So today, call me ADBN.
Yeah. We're bringing you the beauty of the city on the program this morning, Morning Express, of course, the weekend edition. And so we'll look at what the papers are capturing. What are the major stories? What are the talks behind the talks? And we'll get to capture all of that on today's program.
And so many things happening in the country, events around politics, security, you name it, everything. It's a potpourri of issues that we're going to be discussing this morning, as reported by the papers for this morning. But we'd like to begin with politics for this morning, and that will take us to our very first paper, which will be Tribune. But before we go straight into the papers and tell you what the papers are talking about from the array of issues being reported in the country, let us take this time out to introduce our reviewer for this morning. Our reviewer is a communications expert and also an academic. It gives me great pleasure to welcome one and only Professor Uwem Akpan. Good morning to you, sir. The Tribune is talking about the PDP. The PDP has been in the news lately, of course, following defections, the gale of defections from that political party, and the internal issues also affecting the party. Come with me to the Tribune this morning as the Tribune talks about the PDP being ready to drag defectors to court. The Tribune captures it saying PDP set to drag defectors to court, and it comes with a rider. Of course, the APCs are enjoying the moment as their ranks continue to swell. Defectors from the Labour Party, defectors from the NNPP, and also defectors from the PDP. PDP set to drag defectors to court, loses 3 more senators to the APC. And about the masthead, of course, the recently concluded UTME, many people have been talking about this, especially with the poor results, the poor showing of students. I'll take you to the masthead from the Tribune, where it says 2025 UTME. JAM withholds 39,834 results for exam malpractices. Of course, you know, information recently revealed that about 1.5 million thereabout didn't exactly score up to 200. That is about 75.5% from information that we were able to glean from the grapevine. Didn't exactly do well in this year's JAM. And of course, from the Tribune, it states very clearly that JAM is 39,834 results for exam malpractice. These, among other headlines, as captured in the Tribune, is what you will find in the Tribune. Jennifer.
To our reviewer here in the studio, I'll begin from the education because, of course, you are from the academic. And it says here it reflects the decay in education. The result, does it truly, is it as a result of poor decay in the educational sector, or there are other things that come into play?
Well, the first index is not wrong that it reflects a decay in education. When university lecturers make noise that things are not okay in the educational system, ASU is always labeled and given names.
Synonymous to strike.
This one has come out to show that all is not well. Only few schools really teach students. Only few schools really teach students. And you realize that many of other schools, do we call it expo, malpractice,
Or magic centers.
Or magic centers, success centers.
Yeah.
And now that JAM is coming out with the way the success or the success of the success or miracle centers. Now that JAM has come out with ways and means of reducing it, you can see the true effect is coming out. This is a reflection of the educational system.
We have the Gen Z age, the generation
Alpha.
X. This age is Alpha, and we see that there's a lot of gravitation towards the internet. People rarely read. I was shocked when I saw a 3-year-old manipulate a tab Effectively, 3-year-old. Operate the tab unassisted, can get wherever she wants to go on that tab. And I'm saying if at 3, this child can operate the tab, that's beautiful. But then on the other side,
The woes of the internet.
what are they consuming from the internet? Do they read? So do you think that the internet plays any role in what we're seeing now, that people do not consume educational materials or spend time with hard copy books? Everything now is the internet, TikTok and the likes. You think the internet has any role to do with this?
Very seriously. Very seriously. Even at home, you see that the children are tilting towards social media. They know all the, I always call it scandal.
They know who's trending.
The film industry, they know who is trending. And even at my home, sometimes I look at them. I say, you people are university students. How many times have you picked up your books to read? Or what you are accessing? Does it have anything to do with your
education?
And beyond that, as you said, the 3-year-old child can manipulate things. But can that 3-year-old child, okay, let me leave the 3-year-old child. These people who are on social media, can they write? They cannot write. Some of them cannot write their names. The only thing they know is that they can speak. Because we have a primacy of speech. When you are born, you first know how to speak before you know how to write. And in those days, we used to write even letters.
Yes.
We write essays.
Yes.
We did this. But these days, those things are not happening. And let me shock you. In the university system, there is a gravitation towards CBT.
Yes.
In courses that are supposed to be written.
You think that makes them lazy too?
Very lazy. Is it not A, B?
A or B? A, B, C, D.
So while the internet has made them maybe open up their horizons, but they cannot write. If you doubt me, check, if you have the opportunity, check the message, maybe a chat by some of these students.
Abbreviations mostly.
Mostly. Spell out the words. They cannot even do that.
It's
and
very
AI is coming. Not that AI is bad. AI is not bad. Personally, I consult AI. But when you consult AI, it's not that the information AI has given is foolproof.
You still need to scrutinize.
You need to go and do research. Go to Google and you will find authors who have written something on that. And that's when you will be able to find out whether what AI said was true or not. But these days,
nobody cares.
And let me also add, the tendency that we are going towards e-learning. They say e-learning. I don't know how far it's working here. So that lecturers give assignments virtually, and these people will just go copy and paste. The other day we had, I don't want to mention too many names, we had an MA seminar in school. All that we saw was copy and paste. And they copied and pasted without understanding, without synergy, without coherence, and some of them
can't even defend what they even copied and presented.
No, they did not even understand.
Okay.
They did not even understand. It's very bad. Seriously, it's very bad. And you know that the funny thing is that those who are not performing so well, those are the people who seek admission for higher education. For example, they might not have done well in their first degree. These are the people who come back for masters, and these are the people who come back for PhD. And when they get the PhD, they have the minimum qualification to start teaching. So what are they going to teach?
Well, that's the
Big
issue.
question.
Well, then let's pan our focus on PDP now. They say defections. PDP moves to stem the tide. Do you think the woes of the PDP is going to come to an end anytime soon?
No. I want to borrow the words of the president. Not that I like the word, but he said it's a tsunami.
Oh.
And when a tsunami comes,
so it leads to its wake destruction.
In its wake destruction, and if you are unlucky to be on its path, you can just sing, Lord, I'm coming home. The way anytime soon. It's unfortunate that this is happening to them. I don't know if they didn't put their house in order. I'm not their spokesperson. I don't know if they didn't put their house in order because they should have seen this coming. Everybody's leaving PDP for APC. But one thing is that they are not leaving PDP for APC per se. They are leaving PDP for Tinubu. It's only that the platform for Tinubu is APC, and so there's nothing they can do. It's not as if these people who are going there really love APC. Okay, let me take the example of Wike. For all that he has done, he has been, but he says he's working for the president. So most people, particularly southern governors, are moving towards what's the name, Tinubu, not necessarily
The party.
APC, because of 2027 elections. The truth wants to contest again, and the governors from the south, I'm not sure they're accepting that, because and so Tinubu Atiku becomes an offer is for them to drift out, go to APC, but actually, as I said, they are moving to Tinubu. But there is one issue that we must not forget. This defection there, this one is not suggesting, but it's a manifestation of the fact that our constitution is weak.
Why?
Because our constitution is supposed to ensure that if a party gives you the platform and you get to power, that you should not use that party, take the fortunes of that party to another party.
But Prof, if I may interject you, it also provides, there's a proviso for defection, which I'm sure you're very much aware of, in event of crisis, in event of issues in the party.
Yes.
The problems in the party, the PDP, the NNPP, the Labour Party, I'm very sure you're aware that the Abia State Governor, Alex Otti, is calling for the arrest of Julius Abure, who some days ago suspended him and the Namnadi Usman faction, as well as some other persons who are not allied to him. You go to the NNPP, Kwankwaso is already consulting. Kwankwaso is planning to leave because there's also a crisis in his party. They're trying to edge him out. Same person who formed the party. Come to the PDP, where there are many problems here and there. Two party secretaries, Anyanwu and Ude Okoye, who both have been sacked by the governors. Have these conditions, all these problems in the party, not met that constitutional requirement enough for those people to defect?
Yeah, for at least the constitution is a little bit clearer when it comes to members of parliament, and that if you defect,
you lose your seat.
Except there is a crisis, as you said, you lose your seat. That one is clearer. But when it comes to governors, nothing is said. It means that a governor can just move from here to there. To be very sincere, not minding the political gains they are going to have individually, it makes Nigeria a public spectacle.
Is it?
That in Nigeria we don't have we are unstable, and I see people who move from here to here as being unstable. Never mind that they will tell you that it's in the interest of the state, is in the interest of this, but to some extent it shows that they are unstable. Because even when there is a crisis where you are not supposed to run away from your crisis. You are supposed to stay.
But what if the crisis is not settling? Look at it. They've had several meetings. One time, the FCT minister had a factional meeting in the South. And then you come to the other side of the PDP that is run by Damagum. He's even here to catch his breath. 1 minute, the PDP governors will come and say they want to take charge of the party and revive the party. Before you know it, how many PDP governors are we even talking about? When Remo has it that 5 of them are planning to defect. 1 has left, 4 remaining. So what exactly?
May even be more than that.
So what exactly is keeping anybody now in the PDP that will make them not to defect? Prof.
Group captain.
Yes. Even though that's my name on radio.
If you build a house.
Yes.
And somehow you face challenges in the house that you built. You run away from that
if
house.
The house is collapse, Prof. I'll be very real. If there are structural issues with the house that I built, and I have seen it clearly that
crash.
it cannot be remedied, you can't patch a collapsing house, Prof. You know that. Okay. So if the building is going to collapse and kill me, I will run.
It's okay. It's a good answer, but normally and naturally, we don't run away from where we have invested. But for politics, they have the freedom to move. In spite of what I've said, they have the freedom to move from here to there. But when those who are practicing democracy outside of our country, when they look at us, they don't take us as serious people. When last did you see somebody from Conservative Party in the UK moving to
Republican
Labour Party? When last did you see somebody from Republican Party, even when they say did this in the first term, nobody defected. But it doesn't mean that they may not show support
Publicly.
For another person. But they, and so we become a public spectacle. Here is
addressed as anti-party activities when you do such in the country.
You mean there or here?
Here.
Anti-party?
Yes. If you show support and solidarity for another person in another party, it's seen as anti-party activities.
Yeah, it's seen as anti-party, and beyond that, what else would they do? Because when you go to court, I'm not preempting, when you go to court, like I said, those people will cite internal crisis in the party, and the court will give ruling based on that. And so we continue to move here, but let me say this, maybe it's a prediction, I'm not a prophet too. After 2027, all these alliances will collapse.
Are you predicting that the APC may implode?
Well, that is too strong a word. Okay. But I'm saying, you know, I said that most of these defections are not necessarily for APC, they're for the president. And I want to commend the president for being able to garner support towards 2027. And a typical Nigerian, when you have reached your goal, you don't show so much interest in what is happening. Look at what happened to Buhari. When Buhari got into the presidency, how much interest did he show in his APC? But for people like Tinubu, APC would have collapsed. And so when Tinubu is able to pick 2027 ticket and has won, and at the moment, I'm not seeing any credible opposition. Immediately it's there, and then he himself will even begin to talk of realignment, and nobody knows what will happen after that.
Okay, well then, let's about on the papers. We'll stick to Saturday Telegraph. Just at the bottom of Saturday Telegraph, we have here repayment of $3.4 billion IMF loan, not priority now. This is attributed to experts. It says insists debts should have been rescheduled. Funds used for infrastructure. What do Nigerians really want? We've been complaining of the numerous loans and debts Nigeria has and has accumulated over the years. And the government has decided to pay off the COVID-19 loan from the IMF. And now experts are saying it's not a priority. What
Can I beg? I want to beg to disrupt that alignment and realign.
All right.
The reason I'm begging to do this is because there's something on the weekend trust, which is not far from the politics that we're talking about. And I think we need to exhaust everything political, and then we go to the next. So I crave your indulgence, Jennifer. Let's stick around a bit on politics. Come with me as we take you straight to the weekend trust. This is also another concern that I think we need to talk about from the weekend trust. From the weekend trust, the headline is very clear. The rise, struggles of top northern brands. I'm still going to ask you about, the place at the north in 2027. But there's also another concern that's captured by the weekend trust. These are sons of top politicians, top leaders in Nigeria. The artwork there, the faces of top politicians. I see Arufai's son, I see the president's son, and some other persons, their sons, they're also captured. But here's the headline. Clapback. Privileged children fighting political battles. I'd like for you to speak to that. You're a communications expert. How succinct is this? Clapback. privileged children fighting political battles. Which political battles are they fighting? The one of their parents or their own personal political battle?
Well, they are fighting to ensure that they retain the privilege that their father had given to them. And come to think of it, you see, politics in Nigeria, perhaps every other place, you don't just emerge from nowhere to come into it. You must have maybe ideological foundation, political foundation. More than that, you have economic foundation. And these privileged children are coming from a foundation that their fathers had been politically engaged and had left enough economic fortunes for them. And so they are fighting to retain the hegemony. As bright as you are, if you go into politics, they will use one word for you. Awadu. I don't know if you know that one.
No, I don't.
She will interpret for you. That you are just coming to your sacrifice is just to fulfill all righteousness. And they will say, where are you coming from? Well, what is your surname? What is your pedigree? And so their parents had laid the foundation for them. And so that's what they are fighting. Like in the US, you have the Kennedys. You have
the Bushes.
You have the Bushes. And so since they have, normally when you have economic power, the next thing naturally you need for most people is political power. And so this is the basis. And among them, they will be quarreling. Those privileged children, they will be quarreling. And at some point in time, they will tell you, well, how much are you worth? How much are you worth? Not that they are worth anything. They are only asking, how much is your father worth? And a lot of them are riding on that crest. And there's, of course, there's this one that's been said about Tinubu's son. Struggling and looking for, is it 2027 ticket? This is part of it. So they will continue.
So do you think at any point this battle will be won and it continue in the lineage, or
no, battle is always won and lost. So it's not everybody that will win.
So politics now has become an inheritance thing.
I think I like that word, inheritance, because you don't just inherit the political structure, but you need the economic fortune that goes with that political structure to finance that structure. And whereby you don't have, it's very difficult. It's only that some in Akwa Ibom, in the last election, the governor made it very easy for local government chairmen and councillors. He did not allow them to spend money, but ordinarily, you need the economic fortune.
Okay. So if we say it's some kind of inheritance, because of course it takes me back to Saraki, if you remember his father. Okay. And the son eventually became the Senate president, and is still very much relevant in the political structure, even in the PDP.
Exactly.
But of course, let's leave that for a moment and still stick with the weekend trust before we exhaust everything political, and then Jennifer takes us to the next conversation. The North. From the weekend trust, it says here the rise, struggles of top northern brands. Now, I want to still liken this particular, headline to the North.
Okay.
Is there any place for the North in the politics of 2027? Do they determine in any way, will the North be a determining factor in the 2027 politics? I
don't want to use the word determining factor. I want to call it a contributing or contributory factor. I think it is wrong for someone to arrogate to himself that if it's not there, something will not happen. But we know that it is not true. Every part of the country contributes to it, and don't forget that the North in itself is not monolithic. It's not the North of many years. Even many years ago, when we had Aminu Kano They didn't speak with real one voice. And so it's broken into different interests. As we even saw that the children are even fighting. And so they know will contribute, but it cannot be a deciding factor.
Are the top brands in the north, have they fallen? The top brands, the top names in northern politics, have they fallen?
See, whatever fight you are seeing among them at the moment is preparatory for the day after Tinubu. Whatever is preparatory to the day after Tinubu, because they have accepted by way of
alignment,
rotation of the presidency, that the presidency will still be retained in the South in 2027, and so all that they are doing is laying the foundation.
But what if they collaborate and all of their top names collaborate and form a strong alliance? Do you think they can still stand a chance for 2027?
No, they are not going to. They are not going to.
They are very dismissive.
Yes, I'm very dismissive. Those people are very intelligent. In fact, when they talked about, even, I'm sorry to bring it, when they even speculated bringing in the Good Luck Jonathan, I said the North will not even want that to happen, because if Good Luck comes, maybe the constitution bars him. Even if he were to win, but when he wins, he will look for another team. They will not. In fact, the North is not even going to entertain another candidate who will come, maybe a fresh candidate who will come, maybe win election, and they will look for another team when Tinubu has already spent 4. And so the tendency is that they will stick with Tinubu, so that he will finish and go in 2031. And from there, these people who are scheming now will see if. But they're trying to sell themselves to the northern elite in the first place, because you need to you need your house to accept you first, then you take the battle outside. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Well then, let's still now talk about the IMF loan. You think it's a priority or it's not?
If there is any possibility of not owing in your life, it is good. Even though to owe is also good, though.
Not a crime.
Not a crime. And many of us have lived on loans, but not IMF loans.
Okay.
If you come to where we work, we have cooperative societies, and since their terms are not throat cutting, we patronize. But on the whole, if Nigeria is able to repay the debt, I would say let it repay. Because so long as you are a debtor, you are still paying interest on loan. And it's diverting resources, assuming that they would have used resources conscientiously. It's diverting resources from other subheads. But the IMF loan, a few days ago we read that Nigeria is not owing.
On that list, we are no longer on the list of debtors.
But at the same time, we're still paying loan. I don't understand.
We have other loans that we're servicing. But if we have, from the information available, which was disclosed 2 days ago, that Nigeria is no longer on that IMF list of debtors, that's credit to this administration, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be a credit to the administration. Let me hope. Let me hope.
Okay. All right.
And we don't even have any reason to owe. During the time of Obasanjo, almost all our debts had been written off.
Yeah. But I think it was thanks to Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala.
But during the time of the last regime, hell was let loose concerning...
Are you blaming the last administration for our debt level?
I wouldn't blame it for our debt profile, but I say it contributed so much. Because, in fact, it's not even the debt. Some of the terms and conditions of the debt, whereby if you default, China will come and take charge of your
national assets.
National assets. That means you even mortgage the children Jennifer is here to give birth to.
Okay.
All right. Let's look at some security matters. We'll still stick to Saturday Telegraph. Saturday Telegraph brings here, it says, Alaafin, Emir, Olubadan, Igwe Obosi, others Now, this is attributed to them. It says here, how worsening insecurity can be tackled decisively. The writer says, native intelligence gathering should be given priority. More logistics should be provided at localities for effective monitoring. We have to be empowered. It's ridiculous to place monarchs under local government.
Still talking about insecurity, the Vanguard also has a similar issue. But of course, talking about the insecurity in the country, as it says here from the Vanguard, terror attacks. Army generals explain certain resurgence because, of course, we've had terror attacks springing up lately. It's more like a resurgence, and army generals find themselves explaining why we have this resurgence. And excuse me, Prof, I'm going to bring this one to you. Do we have terror continuing or a resurgence? Was there a time when terror it looked like it had died? Is anything responsible for its resurgence, as the Vanguard puts it, from the explanation of the army generals?
I don't sincerely believe that terrorism or terror activities are gone down for it to merit the word resurgence. Not gone down. It's only that sometimes the military will tell us of their exploits, their conquests, and since a lot of times we don't have any way of countering such information, we accept. But sometimes the reality on the ground contradicts what the military said. In Borno State, even as at today, the governor had complained that about 3 or so local governments
Have been taken
over, inaccessible to security forces, non-state actors had taken over. And when we talk of resurgence of insecurity, which one are we talking about? Is it that kidnapping along the route going to Lagos and going to Abuja? Has it come down? Or the one that took place along at sea here between Oron and Calabar? Do we say it has come down? No, it has not come down. It has not come down. I think the military, with due respect, maybe had the hope that the thing will go down, but the thing has not gone down.
But at the twilight, at the very beginning of this administration, I mean, for 6 months going to a year, we did see insecurity stemmed to some extent. We did not hear of this level of kidnappings. We didn't hear of this onslaughts, that we have bandits and terrorists laying on communities like in Benue and in Plateau State, as we've been hearing now. Takes me to my question. You think the resurgence of insecurity, as we're seeing now, is politically motivated?
Well, I wouldn't want to say it's politically motivated, but let me still stay on the word resurgence. Maybe in Plateau and Benue State, because there was a dip. There was a dip, no doubt about that. But there was no dip in places like Niger. There was no dip in places like Zamfara. There was no dip in places like Orono. And there was no dip in the southeast and south-south concerning kidnapping. There was no dip. So if you want to apply the word resurgence, it should be very restrictive and very selective. That maybe Benue and Plateau State. Yes. Because, as I said, there was a dip in the activities of bandit terrorists, but in other areas, we have been experiencing. There is no day that we don't have a report that this thing has happened, this thing has happened. Is it politically motivated? It's difficult to establish, but mine is always that the people who are responsible for these things, particularly in Benue and Plateau State, are the same people that are being identified. The other day I said it's close to ethnic cleansing. You said it was not.
No. I still refuse it till now.
Yes, I'm not saying it again. I'm not saying it again. But I see it as a systematic attempt to eliminate communities. My worry is that the security agencies, they know are likely going to take place, but they are not proactive.
How to take place and not being proactive.
There are some places that are that you know that are prone to security breaches, like Benue and Plateau State. Because why? Because that's happened over time. You know that it can happen anytime. But in order to stem the tide, he did not. And subsequently, the crisis continued. So that area is a porous area in terms of security. They know it's going to happen, or they know it may happen, but they don't take proactive steps. It's only when these things have happened that we begin to send condolence messages. What about our intelligence? We have
the intelligence community.
We have our national army intelligence. This, that. So what is the intelligence community doing? That they don't know that they don't know that these things can happen. They kidnap people, and those people use phone to contact the relatives of the kidnapped
victims,
and you don't know where they are coming from. The other time, the man who was the minister for Buhari, information minister, Lai Mohammed, he said no, it's not as if they didn't know where these people were, but that they were trying to minimize civilian casualties that they would have struck. And so people are still being taken there. And then tomorrow they say that they don't know. My brother.
But you know, when I said if it is politically motivated, I had said so because look at 2027, not far from now. As a matter of fact, we're in the 5th month. Before the end of the year, we may have campaigns you know, become the topic of the day, because as we see now, everyone is talking about defections, everyone is talking about alignment, everyone is talking about which way the pendulum will or should swing in 2027. Now, when I said it's politically motivated, could it not be that the resurgence that newspaper Vanguard says is so as to mar the reputation of this administration and say they have not done one of the cardinal functions of government, which is security?
And in fact, as of last year, from June last year till December, it was reported that criminality in the country had dropped. And so perhaps we can say it's politically motivated, or don't you think?
Criminality had dropped. Who gave the statistics? That's one problem, because from the point of the military, they will give the statistics that the criminality had dropped just to favor them. But I still believe that we were not out of the woods at any point in time. And politically motivation, I wouldn't say that it's politically motivated. Rather, I would say that it's a consistent failure.
Consistent failure
on the part of our security forces to protect us.
But investments are being made. I know that recently new aircrafts were acquired. In the last administration, I think about 9 or 10 Tucano jets were procured. Recently, this administration have also procured some, military armaments and everything to buffer the military's fighting strength. And you say, but the administration is invested.
Yeah, the administration is investing. The truth is that we have not seen we have not seen the outcome of that investment on a scale that we would have expected. We are not saying that there will be no criminality, but it should be at the minimum. But at the moment, maybe I will buy into your word resurgence. At the moment, it's over the top.
And that's why I still go back to politically motivated, and so as to give the dog a bad name and hang it.
Well, I don't know who will want to do that. I don't know who will want to do that.
Prof, when you say you don't know who will want to do that, then you will want to pretend like you don't know Nigerian politics.
Well, rather, I would rather put the ball in the court of government, so that somebody doesn't blackmail you that you are incompetent when it comes to protecting lives and security and property, so that somebody doesn't blackmail you. Then do the needful.
What is the needful?
Fight the battle.
How do you fight them?
Take the battle to the terrorists.
Are they not fighting them? Is the military not launching onslaughts?
See, and where they are launching occasional, sporadic onslaughts. But if they take the battle to them, if we declare real war on them and take the battle to them, those people will vamos.
But
Take
you
it
think
to them
we can?
where?
Ike,
Hmm.
let me now ask you, are you telling me that they don't know where the bandits are?
You said take it to them. Take it to them.
In the bushes, wherever they are hiding. We have intelligence. They know that this, in fact, in Kaduna, Niger, even Plateau, not much of Plateau, they know the areas that these bandits are. They know the villages. And the one in the north is particularly surprising because when they say they're in the forest, their forest is not like the forest down here. Their forest is more of shrubs, short trees, savanna that you can stay here and see somebody at a boom connection at Plaza. And so where are they hiding? If it were even down here, that you have real forest, that you can fly a plane up there and you don't see what is down here, we will understand. So I still believe that if they are very serious, they know where those people are.
You keep saying they know. The word sounds very indicting.
The word is not indicting, the situation is indicting.
Oh. Mm.
The word is not indicting, it's an English word.
They know.
Then the situation is indicting.
But you say they know. So I'm an English student too, and you're my prof, right? They know. When I say indicted, they know, but action is not done enough or coordinated towards where they are, is indicting that they know and they are not acting.
And I was saying and still saying that truly speaking, it's not the word that is indicting them, but the situation is indicting them. We judge based on the situation. The situation itself is indicting. That's why the president and his they always say security architecture. So let me not divert. President and security architecture should sit up. Okay. Because whether it is politically motivated or not, it's embarrassing to the country.
All right, then let's also, before we wrap up on newspaper review, let's head to another embarrassing situation in the country, the Blueprint. Blueprint says here, despite tariff hikes, I know I could be very interested in this. Telecom.
Why have I been mentioned in this? What interest do I have?
Telecom, electricity consumers lament poor services. The writer says no improvement in service delivery after hikes. This is attributed to consumers. We switch from one network to another in search for better connections. Subscribers, government should call them to order. Students, Prof, and I know that. Let's start with electricity from there. I know there are a number of times in schools they complain about payment of electricity bills, and yet they're not having the power to handle these issues. And then when we get to telecom, you'd barely even have a good network, but we're talking of tariff hike everywhere.
Jennifer, let me ask, are you sure they even pay the bills to even look for the services?
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
That's a good one there.
Okay.
That's a good one.
But beyond that, the situation is bad. The situation is bad. Sometimes we stay on campus, there's no lights, and you can't overblame the university administration for not being able to power the generators because of the cost of fuel. But the problem is that people will pay. As that headliner said, people will pay. They are not getting. They are not getting the services.
Well, let's go to telecoms now.
Yeah.
How is the network situation?
In fact, as the paper has reported, it's getting worse. We have drop calls. Meanwhile, they are charging high. Really, government should do something about it to justify the hike in prices. Unfortunately, the consumers are always the people suffering. 2 days ago, let me just bring in 2 days ago, a court decided that This.
Okay, I think I remember it. It's pay TV.
Yeah, pay TV.
That it's only the president that has the prerogative to determine price. I think it was a case between a particular company, multi-choice, with FCCPC.
In fact, they said that Nigeria is a free market economy. That is the underlying word. That Nigeria is a free market economy, and that any organization has the right
to determine
its prices. That's too bad for us.
When people say the government should do something, I like specifics as your pattern shot on this issue of electricity and of course telecoms tariff hike. What exactly specifically do you want the government to do?
There's no country where people who are doing businesses are allowed to run their businesses with prices that they like, because it will kill the citizens. I don't want to suggest something that is difficult, but I think government could talk to them. That's one. And two, government should reduce the costs of doing business in Nigeria, particularly when it comes to electricity. If government is able to make sure that electricity is constant, that they don't resort to generators, then it could bring down the cost of doing business. And hopefully, if these people are not as Shylock as we are thinking, they may also have mercy.
Okay,
and
well,
reduce their prices.
Let's hope they have mercy, reduce prices, as well as cut down on their service breakdown.
They should let Nigerians breathe.
Indeed, we really
let us breathe.
Thank you so very much, Professor Uwem Akpan, communications expert.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Prof.
It's a pleasure. You guys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.